not display art created by people of color is an implicit dismissal of their subjective experience and undervaluation of those experiences. On your side of the house, you can use an ostensibly neutral criteria to dismiss those opinions. Inclusions on our side of the house, not yours.
Yeah, but it is subjective. You have conceded there's no argument to be had beyond these are people's feelings. To acknowledge the minorities are real reflection of these dignity and preserve inclusion, you need to create a framework in which you can have an argument. Now, I'm sure my academics will find reasons to refute the good criteria of those arguments that people, brown people, I'm sure they will do that. But as long as they are generally committed to those criteria, what the needs they want to challenge, and good enough of them will in fact change their minds, as we see people in academia have done already to a very large extent. So the way to include them is not to put them in a little box of having interesting feelings because of the color of their skin, but technology is genuine and important challenges. Secondly, why do you create one which all people generally appreciate art? Because some art appeals to our immediate emotional senses, but not all art does, right? Like abstract expressionism, true lots of color and meaning, right? Now, the evidence would be a person stops at a point you don't appreciate. But if you think there is an objective
going to be dominated by the exact same forces that they're trying to avoid. So on their side of the house, it's not just that minority art still can more easily get rejected because it doesn't meet how most people view interpretation of quality criteria. But even if you are to overcome them, there's an additional friction and there's an additional hassle you have to put into it, so necessarily that probably means that there's less of it that makes it into the mainstream. Well, in our world, the interpretation of that black art or that minority art doesn't meet the norm of what is the objective application of how people expect quality criteria in art to be applied. The way you refer to it is as your subjective interpretation of it is something that doesn't speak to you or doesn't appeal to you, rather than something that is objectively that. Yes, you are.
It's better if minority art gets inducted into the canon on the pretense of objective criteria, because that affords it much more respect than if it was done merely because some minorities have feelings some of the time.
I understand. The problem with that is that if it needs to meet specific criteria, then you have two options. Either it is a kind of art that just reproduces the same criteria that is already palatable to a majority, in which case I'm not entirely sure why the value of it being different, because it's no longer different, is there. Or you have a lot of problems with art that is being rejected as something that does not meet your application of the criteria. I also think it's probably a very, very good thing to tell the majority of people that they should actually care about the lived experiences of other people. One, because that is the kind of norm that we want to promote, but also two, because it is much harder to reject something based on that, and I say that is not valuable because it represents a minority. That is something that in the current context is not palatable for you to express, even though a lot of people might be bigoted and still think that, which means that the kind of barriers that they can impose to minority art making its way into the mainstream is a lot smaller than simply being able to say it doesn't meet some objective criteria, and it cannot be attacked as racism or discrimination, which it is, because there is a pretense of objective criteria. I think what is also important to notice is that the way these criteria are going to be applied is still probably going to be disseminated the same way good art is being disseminated in the status quo. So things like it's being taught in schools. People have revealed preferences that they are comfortable expressing in society that most often are going to coincide with whatever is being seen as culture and whatever is seen as highbrow, because it is a cool thing to admit to your friends. But it's a lot less cool to go out in society and reveal your preferences towards art that is currently not being seen as culture. Which means that the way in which you could take the criteria and expand them to also apply to art that is deviant from whatever is currently the norm is going to be significantly harder. If you look at music, it's kind of like in the Balkans, the music of the Roma people that is being labeled as stupid and uncultured and vulgar. And because it comes with those preconceptions, people, even though they might technically meet the bar or use the chords that are being seen as cool or culture, and even though they might maybe have good voices, which would meet the bar of its good music because they have maybe a higher range or because they're very good at singing, whatever. The problem is that when you allow placing the label of objectively bad on it, it is not going to matter that they technically meet some criteria that they should. It is simply going to place a label on those pieces of art and implicitly on the people who make and consume that art of being less cultured and being stupid. I think art is subjective. We should acknowledge it as such. No art expressing someone's view should be seen as bad.
Thank you very much, and I just want to close the opening half of this debate. The second speaker will be opening.
I have a question before I begin. Do you actually understand what we're saying? You can. Okay, because from over there it's very hard. Okay, good. Four questions in this debate. First, criteria and reality. Second, inclusiveness. Third, appreciation and understanding of art. Fourth, why do we, on team opposition, old team team deserve to win this debate regardless of the debate. But before that, let me give you an important life tip. If you go to Worlds and you're asked to be in a show debate, and you're told, oh, and you'll be representing Team Old People, and that's a quote, you're doing something wrong with your life. And that is especially true if on Team Old People, you are 10 years older than your partner. I have no idea what I'm doing here, but I will win this debate regardless. A few points of rebuttal. First of all, let's clarify our burden in this debate. Our burden on opposition is not to show that there is such a thing as objectively good art, but it is preferable that the perception of the quality of art is objective and not subjective. The two are vastly different. And when they say that we have to defend specific set of objective criteria for good art, so first of all we say no, we don't. Secondly, even if there were objective criteria for what is good art, let's take a reality check here. These criteria change all the time. They broaden, they spread, they widen. The fact is that the first speaker, Tim, told us that the objective perception is a barrier to new art, to minority art, to indigenous art, to LGBTQ art. Reality check. African Americans dominate the Billboard chart. Hip hop and rap are hugely popular. LGBTQ museums pop up everywhere. That's a good thing. Indigenous art is on the rise. They don't know much about art because they don't appreciate it. They only debate all the time and feel piada. Yes, on that.
You keep picking examples of things that are being seen as subjectively good, as a reason why objective criteria somehow are inclusive.
No. These are considered objectively good by the same establishment you talk about. And as Ashish said, and you failed, I think you didn't grasp the subtlety of Ashish's case, as most of us don't. That's a joke about Ashish. If you're told by the establishment, this minority art is good, this LGBTQ art is good, this indigenous art is good, it awards them more respect and more lasting respect than if you're told that if it's subjective and minorities only like them because they're minorities. Minorities, by the way, by definition, are in the minority. That's not lasting effect, and for long term, as if the establishment says, wow, Beyonce is amazing, she deserves all these Grammys, that's how you get lasting effect and more success to those people, and that's what's happening in the real world. That's where you get. So first of all, let's know criteria change all the time, and they fail to deal with that. Inclusiveness happens when the establishment says because criteria change all the time, and inclusiveness happens when the establishment says, wow, these African American artists are really good, these LGBTQ artists deserve recognition, and so on and so forth. Let's talk about appreciation and understanding of art. We claim it is intrinsically valuable to understand art beyond the immediate sensory gratification. Can I have my phone? I don't have it. Beyond the immediate sensory gratification. Look, when I look at the Mona Lisa, all I see is a woman, thank you so much, is a woman half smiling or no, I'm not sure. I would claim that I would not look at the Mona Lisa and I would not read Shakespeare if I hadn't been told by the establishment that this is objectively that